In front of me today I've got a product which I've owned from new actually, and it was bought in the early 2000s. It's a Yamada DVD recorder, DVR-8000. I don't know why it's got such a high number. It must mean it's pretty good. I thought I'd just show this to you quickly before I get rid of it. So what I plan to do is take it to the recycling tip tomorrow, because there's not really much interest in this sort of thing. This is saying it uses DVD plus R and plus RW recording, progressive scan, component video output, S video output, coaxial optical digital audio output. It supports playback of CDRs, RWs, DVD, DVD, plus R, plus RW, formats, audio CD, DVD, VCD, SVCD, so that was Super VCD, and MP3 music files. And then it's just got on this side the emblems for some of this stuff. So let's open the box. Presented with a pretty chunky guide, and it was fairly easy to use. I remember the settings, you were probably better off using the highest setting that you could for video, because you quickly had artifacts with some of the longer ones, but I think that's possibly true of most of the machines, and particularly the early machines anyway. So so that's the original remote for it. We even got the original packaging. Let's move that box out of the way. Let's have a quick look at the front. So again, it's copying, well, the box is copying what is on the machine. So it's got the emblems there, power, it's got a backwards, next, record, stop, play and pause. So everything else fortunately is on the remote. So the remote's got quite a few keys. There's a open close button as well. So this one, it looks like they should slide, but they don't. It's just the design. And then here is the inputs on the front. So this is your standard composite video, left right. You've got S video connector on there. Let's have a look on the back. Now you can tell it's never been opened. Never had to open it. I'm going to open it today. It's even got, yeah, look, I could have not used the digital audio output, so it's still got the cap on. So yeah, we've got left right channels there. We've got the digital audio out, there's video out, so there's your composite component. You've got audio in, S video and standard video. So these are on the front, and RF in, RF out. So before digital TV, so only an analog tuner in this. So I suppose it may have some use if you had an old console or computer and you wanted to try recording some of the screen, then you could use something like this. You can see the screen. It's thunder and lightning by the looks of it. She says no disc, so let's see what happens. So as soon as you turn this on, it just basically, well, when you give it power at the wall, it just came straight on, and then the light stayed on there. So never really used in earnest for playing DVDs. I actually got this at the time that I had a digital video camcorder, so a DV camcorder, and I just took the video signal output from that and recorded onto this. But surprisingly, looks like we've still got something working here. What I'll do, I'll open this up and we'll have a look inside a little bit later to see what drive and if we can spot anything about the chips on the PCB as well, and just the general state of things. It'll be quite interesting. So let's stop this at the moment and go into the setup. Just show you the remote control there. There. No, that's not. So that's volume. So it's got an independent volume. So that's quite useful, I guess. If you if you didn't have the TV remote to hand, then you could change the output there. I'm just going to cycle through the inputs quickly to see what we've got. We have analog tuner, front AV, front S-video, rear AV, rear S-video, SCART. So all in all, readable. It won't let me stop the disc while it's loading itself up. DVD is still working, at least for playback. Alright, now I'm going to press stop, and I have. Let's just get this disc out. And so even the disc drawer is working fine, which is quite something. So disc operation invalid, yeah. Timer, channel, stop, play, record. You know what? I don't know if was there a menu system. There was a menu system, and here it is. So let's cycle through and see what we have. So I've got it set screensaver on. So anyway, this is progressive interlace, and it's set to interlace. Video output is as expected. Tuner mode as expected, so we're in PAL world. It's even got restore factory settings, so let's go to play, and this really hasn't been used for a long time, has it? So the aspect ratio we can change, and rating level, although it looks like the menu doesn't change, that stays 4:3. Rating, digital audio output, raw, closed captions. Okay, let's go back up to record, auto chapter marker. So I don't know how often that would be. Default source is tuner, but you can select any of the other inputs, which is good to know. Default quality, there you go, always have it set to HQ. So as it says, it gives you 60 minutes in a blank disc, 120 minutes SP, 240 on EP, and around 360 on standard long play. So it really does whack up the older compression there, I think. So let's go back up the menu. Language, on screen language, so we've got it set to English, and menu language, subtitle language off, audio language English. Tuner, well, there really is no point in that anymore, only if you've got a analog source that you can plug in, so you might have an old computer or game console. And clock, so the clock looks like its defaults in the year 2000, and it's been going for 12 minutes. Okay, very straightforward. And once I found where the keys were again, it wasn't too bad. It's a shame that some of these haven't got their kind of keys highlighted, so you have to kind of read above them. But anyway, that was the setup, and then there was other options which won't work when you have no disk loaded. So fairly straightforward to use. It did have a instant record kind of feature, and you could, I think, press that a number of times to get a duration set up. So it just made recording for a set amount of time a bit easier. So yeah, remarkably just about working still. Let's get the lid off this. Looks like it's going to be 7 screws, so 2 here, 2 here and 3 on the back. I quite like these feet, particularly yeah, the ones at the front. Sort of lends itself a certain sort of impression of quality that you might have seen in some of the hi-fi separates in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, not too bad. Okay, never been taken apart. I'm going to break the warranty seal, which I don't think anyone's going to be too bothered about. And it's broken. So you just have to pull the sides out slightly. And what have we got? We have got quite an unknown drive there. An Actima Technology Corporation, made in China. So an IDE drive with a big ribbon cable that seems to find its way over here. So this looks to be the setup, and what a strange setup. So you've got the fan at the back in the normal expected place. You've got the power supply in the middle of the machine, not close to any ventilation. You've got the connections on the back there. You've got a separate board here which has got the analog tuner on as well, and all the various video outputs, and the main hub is this one here. So why wasn't this over here? Well, maybe they didn't know they were going to be using such big disk drives, and when it came to put everything together they realised, oh dear, we can't fit it over there, it's going to have to go somewhere else. But no, yeah, I'm just surprised why this fan isn't a little bit closer to the area which would definitely get warm. And it's in that really enclosed space, and look at the way this cabling is kind of being put like that. They've split it in the middle, I suppose, just to make it easier to bend when it goes back in again. It is interesting. And this is just another ribbon cable. Wow, that goes straight from the main board to the video output board. So that would have been quite expensive, wouldn't it, at the time? And they just use a standard, looks like a standard IDE cable. Interesting product. So the capacitors on this, you could say, have stood the test of time. I can't see anything untoward. All looks good, and it's so clean, isn't it? So you can tell, you see, it's been in the box, in the bag, in the loft, and even when it was used, it didn't suck in too much dust. Well, it looks like new, doesn't it? It doesn't look like it's sucked in any dust at all. So I'm not going to find out much about these chips because they're hidden underneath. Well, this one is anyway, beneath this sink. There's a little bit of movement there. Interesting. Oh, there you go, on the board, LSI Logic. So 2003, I think they were the better boards to have, weren't they? I think at the time they produced some pretty good video boards for capturing and playback. So this is probably not too bad, really. It's not bad at all. But anyway, it's a funny design. I don't think you'd see this again in this sort of thing, and the fact it's got all these separate boards as well. So really, most of these units, the later ones, would have just had these three boards as one board, and obviously it would probably have a separate power supply board, but to see some separate boards like this, I suppose at least if you knew you had a problem with one of these, you could swap it out a bit easier. But yeah, interesting. Well, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the arrangement in here. The size of that disk drive, that really is what gave it such a weight. I wonder if I can swap that out for another one that's maybe a little bit smaller than that. I'm sure that's quite big. Yeah, that's definitely I'm sure that's a little bit bigger than they are these days. In fact, I'm going to get one to have a look. I've moved downstairs now because it was very hot upstairs and I had to have a look through and see what could be the issue with this recorder. Looking at this manual that came with it, interestingly it only goes up to recommending discs with a maximum write speed of 4 times. So that's going to be very hard to adhere to these days, because obviously we're looking at much higher speeds. So that could be a real issue with using this recorder, and it even goes as far as recommending ones not to use, so that's quite interesting as well. So I've left the disc I had in there from before, which was a 16 times, so I'm just going to give this a go, and all I've done is I've got stable video input from a Sony Blu-ray player, and I'm just going to try to record from that signal. So nothing fancy, just see if I can do any recording for any length of time. So I'm going to try it on this 16 times, and remember this drive is the one that I've put in and it's not the original, so it's the Light-On drive, and it had a manufacturing date of 2007, which I believe is about 5 years younger than this actual machine. Okay, let's try recording now, and it's saying recording, so it's counting down, and then it goes straight into process error, so that's not good. It looks like it's still recording on the screen, but we know it's faulted and it's going to stop any second now. What I've decided is you can't teach an old dog new tricks, meaning the new tricks being modern discs, and even with newer drives, only slightly newer, you still can't teach them tricks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this video out now. I'm going to save the DVD recorder, the drive I've got in there. I'm going to take that back out again, because it does seem to at least play discs and do something, and it might be useful in one of my other machines. And I'm going to say bye bye to this one, take it to the tip tomorrow. So thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting to you, or anyone who's ever tried running one of these machines. All ready to be assembled for the recyclers. I've taken the drive back out. Let's just turn this on, see if it recognises the disc that's in there. I would doubt it. It's just a Kodak 8 times speed. Let's see. It's saying load. No disc. Okay. It's not even that dirty. Just a few fingerprints. Okay, so this drive is definitely on its way out. It would play regular DVDs, but it's a weighty device drawing a bit of current. I don't think it's worth hanging on to. Obviously it's not outputting any decent picture, so we don't have HDMI, or we don't have any upscaling of DVDs, so there's very little point in keeping it. But it was a interesting exercise in looking at something quite old, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall do some more in the future. Just one last look at the drive. The Actima Technology Corporation, it says manufacturer address, Headden Road, Shanghai, China. It says manufacture date, but there's no date on there. But when we look at the LSI logic board, it says 2003. So yeah, the drive I was trying to put in there and did seem to work partly was 2007. So probably everything else isn't quite up to handling DVDs at higher speeds. So best to go in the bin this. And I think I purchased this from Richer Sounds. So if anyone knows Richer Sounds in the UK, that's where this came from, way back in the early 2000s.